the biggest obstacle or the biggest hindrance or the biggest detriment to black people is not racism. It's poverty. Racism by itself is not enough to keep black people down. And history has proven that. Because throughout racism in this country, we've still been able to survive. We've still been able to exist. And in some cases, we've been able to thrive. Racism by itself is not enough. Racism has to be backed by a system that puts economic restraints on the people. And in this case, it's black people. So when they quote unquote freed the slaves, they did not free the slaves. All they did was put the slaves in a different kind of bondage. And that bondage was economic. Because you can't free people and not give them resources. So black people literally walked from slavery and walked right into debt. And I would say this, you can't be in debt and be free, and financial freedom and freedom are synonymous. They're one and the same. You cannot be poor and be free. I'm sorry. I don't care about any cliches or anything like that. You cannot be poor and be free. If you are in poverty, you are subject to who's in charge. All the time, constantly, from the time you wake up in the morning to the time you go to bed. Because your economic level determines everything. The biggest problem we have in America, the biggest problem that black people have in America is not racism. It is poverty. Because at its core, poverty is a lack of resources. And a lack of resources is what's plaguing black people. Because that lack, that poverty is a curse. So how does someone operate in a curse? You can't. How does a people operate in a curse? You can't. It's the poverty. When we were not integrated, when there was segregation, when black people were on our own, we were making so many strides. What integration did was take our resources away from us. It took away our only advantage. Our advantage was the fact that we were spending with each other. That was our advantage. It took away our advantage. And we're going to learn that finances, that money, is linked to your character. So we spent money with each other because we loved each other. Poverty is the biggest hindrance to black people. I guarantee poverty has killed more black people than anything else on the planet. It's a curse. And they knew it. When they freed us, they thought about giving us that 40 acres and a mule they promised. But they said if we give it to them, they'll take off. Look what we did without it. The only way to fix this problem is through reparations. That's why I'm so big on reparations. I'm so big on supporting black business. I'm so big on all these things that deal with economics, specifically for black people. Because we're spending almost $1.5 trillion a year. Imagine if we spent half of that 1.5 trillion in the black community. Imagine what would happen if we spent just half of that 1.5 trillion in the black community. Before integration, we would leave our family something. We was able to leave a legacy. We were starting businesses, owning homes, sending our kids to school if necessary, having trades, working. All that was snatched away through integration. Again, the racism wasn't enough. The racism wasn't enough. It's never been enough to keep us down. It had to be economic. It had to be economic. And again, this is why I'm so big on economics in our community. This is why I'm so big on us leaving a legacy. Because we have to start over every generation. We spend like a first world country, but we live like a third world country. How is that possible? It doesn't even make sense. No other group of people on the planet spend like a first world country, but live like a third world country. No other group on the planet does this.